Good morning and welcome to Naples and welcome to the Data Week 2022. My special warm to those of you who are physically present here in the beautiful city of Naples. It has been a long time that we have not organized a physical event, and it's been great. Some of us already met yesterday, and it's been great to bring the community together again. So my name is Ana Garcia. I'm Secretary General of the Big Data Value Association, one of the organizers, and I have the honor and the pleasure to guide you through the day today. So Data Week is our spring community event. It's a community event, and this is a community of researchers, innovators, working on data, data value, big data, artificial intelligence, really building collaborations between industry and research all over Europe. This is our 5th edition of the Data Week, although it has had different names along the time, and we will give you more details later on. The event today or tomorrow culminates 3 weeks full of activities online. So we are physically here today, but also we had a lot of activities and also some physical events in our iSpaces all over Europe. The theme chosen this year that has been guiding us and will guide us today and tomorrow is towards an innovative, trusted, and fair data economy. Over 1,000 people have already engaged to the Data Week since it started, and today and tomorrow we will have representation from 18, at least, countries in Europe. So thank you for coming to Naples. I want to also welcome everybody online today because we are web streaming our event. So the Data Week is organized by the BDVA and also the US for Data Federation. You will hear more about this later. And we organize this with our members, with the projects, and our collaboration partners. A special thanks when we talk about collaboration partners to our host in Naples. So first, the University of Naples. We are here in this beautiful venue. Thank you. Engineering and MediTech. And thanks to engineering and MediTech, we could organize this very nice event here today. So we are going to learn about them very, very soon, all the organizers and our collaboration partners. But before giving the floor to our speakers, I want to also thank other organizations that help us to make this happen. So in particular, CEA in France, Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center in Poland, Cinec and University of Bologna, and INRIA. And a special thanks to all the individuals that really have been contributing in the organizing committee and the program committee. And with no more delay, let's open. And with these welcome words from the organizers and keynotes. And we would like to invite Professor Gaetano Manfredi. He's the mayor of the municipality of Naples and also former Minister of University and Research. Unfortunately, Professor Manfredi could not be with us today, but he was very kind to leave a message for us. Please.
I wish to present to you my warmest welcome. We are experiencing times of moving along the pathway of innovation to improve and strengthen the key pillars of urban livability. Our administration has long recognized the key role and the extraordinary opportunities coming from the data valorization, important function of city management, urban mobility, waste management, safety and security, energy, environment, active citizenship, equitable and efficient access to public service, may take huge advantage from extensive and systematic enforcement of digital technologies, big data, and cyber physical applications. The city of Naples has undertaken this effort with strong commitment, and MediTech, the competence center of Campania and Apulia regions, has been appointed by the city of Naples as a key technological partner for the joint implementation of this work plan. We are very happy and honored to host the physical event of Data Week 2022 dedicated to the topic towards an innovative, trusted and fair European data economy. And we are grateful to Big Data Value Association and to its members and partners for choosing Naples as its venue in the campus of San Giovanni a Teduccio of the University of Naples Federico II, a symbol of innovation and urban regeneration. We wish you a very fruitful conference and an unforgettable experience in our beautiful city of Naples.
So thank you, Professor Manfredi, and we are so happy to be here in Naples. And now I would like to invite to Professor Luigi Nicolais. And Professor Nicolais is President of Materias, President of Cotec Foundation, is former President of CNR, and former Minister for Reforms and Innovations in Public Administrations. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me here, and welcome to all of you to this beautiful city. And the weather, I hope, will not be too warm, but surely you will enjoy the beauty around Naples. I think that having this meeting here in Naples is a very important event, also because in Italy we are facing this big transition. The big transition is really due to the fact that we have to really understand that now is not more time for digitalization, as we often write in all documents, but we need to go ahead of digitalization. We have to learn how to use the digitalized data. That is the main point, and the meeting is really very well focused on this specific point. We have a period of big transition all over, the fourth industrial revolution, the transition from the old technology of paper and pen with the new technology of digital data. We have the transition for circular economy. We have a transition also on the economy in which the importance of the know-how is much more strong than the importance of the material that you have. The companies don't compete anymore just because they have reduced the cost of labor. They compete only if they can put knowledge in their product. And this means that everything is changing. And that's a beautiful time just in this to follow these big changes that are all of them linked one to another. When we speak about data, I think that in the past we were just collecting data, and very often we were not able to use this data. Now we have a big opportunity because we can analyze data, artificial intelligence and other technique can help us in using the data. And I must say that artificial intelligence could be of a big help. People are worried that in the future, the artificial intelligence can substitute the human intelligence, which is impossible. There is not possibility because we design the artificial intelligence and we have always something more than what anything we have designed. That's the reason. Also, I think the PNRR from the Next Generation EU project are having a lot of impact on these big changes. Most of the money in Italy have been just collocated in digitalization and in the use of artificial intelligence and the use of anything which is connected with the digital. And this is really a big change for Italy, but for all Europe, where we can see that there's the main subject of interest for the big revolution that we are having. Of course, also another point is very important. We finally have recognized that the innovation is not the same thing than research. The European community in this framework program that just started decided to have, together with the European Research Council, European Innovation Council. Because we have now very clear the idea that is not only research important, surely it is the paramount importance to do research, also blue sky research, but it's also important to try to use the research that we do in order to make more competitive our countries. And so innovation and research, both of them, they work together in order to reach the possibility for our country to be more and more competitive. Also in Italy, we're working on it and on this, and our program, the PNRR, the Next Generation EU program in Italy is entitled From Research to Business. That means that we recognize also here that research is very important, but to go to business, you have to try to understand how you can survive on the debt valley that normally comes after research and before business. That's something very important. On this, we are working very much in Italy. I really am very happy that engineering and MediTech have decided to organize this meeting here in this San Giovanni sites of University of Naples, because this is one example on how industries and academia are working together. There is not more any time to work by yourself. You need to interact with different disciplines, to interact between industry and academia, to interact between public administration and the university and the industry, because that's the only way how we can survive in this very difficult world in which we need to move ahead day after day. And I'm glad to see that the Data Week 22 is here, and I hope that after the meeting, you will come back also for some other occasion and meet with our scientists and try really to make a strong interaction with Italy, with university, and with the industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Nicolais, and how important many of the messages that you gave us. Really, the synergies from research to the market is an important point, very important point for our community. So we really thank you for all these messages. Okay, so now we move to our next speakers. And here we are gonna experience something very, very interesting. So we are gonna experience the hybrid events. So our next speakers represent the Big Data Value Association. So it's an honor for me to have Thomas Hahn, our president, and Professor Ed Carey, our vice president. So Thomas will be connected online. Ed is here. Thomas is industry. Ed is research. So here we bring the mix of the technologies and also this great collaboration industry research. So the floor is yours. I think we need to put Mr. Thomas Hahn online. And
I hope I am online. Can you hear me, Anna? Can you hear me, Anna? Can you hear me?
hello, Thomas.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you very well.
Perfect. And many thanks for the introduction. Warm welcome from my side. It's really a pleasure for me to open this event. And as you said, coming from Siemens, from industry, to use the word interact, which mentioned before, together with Ed to make this short intro to open this event. A pity that I cannot be in the beautiful city of Naples, but let's say a broken leg hinder me a little bit to travel at the moment, still at the moment, but looking forward to the next event. Maybe Anna, you can show the first slide.
We are working on it. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, perfect. So let's say a lot of things were said before. You see here on the slide, and when I'm speaking from a user perspective, you have also to look at, let's say, some kind of end-to-end solution where in our case, you are collecting data, analyzing the data, creating impact, using the knowledge, the data to create the right impact. Circular economy, sustainability, I mentioned before. This cannot be done alone, and that's the reason why I'm using this slide where you see, let's say, some example of communities which are working closely together. You see on the top, for example, with Catena X, Industry 4.0, mentioned before, also health topic, are, let's say, really applied in verticals to create impact, with the data where BDVA, with the partners from the AI to create value out of the data, playing a big role. And then you have the data infrastructure, you know, where you get the data, how you make it in a secure and a safe way, where you have also control in the data, where you're speaking about Gaia X. And last but not least, on the bottom, somewhere you have to store and to calculate on edge, on a cloud system, on a high performance system, the data. As a meaning, we need really to have this complete overview, holistic view, where you collect the data, creating impact, but also holistic view, how the things, the communities are working together, really to establish, let's say, this continuum from data to AI to impact to create value. Nobody can do this alone. Anna, you mentioned this as a data week. It's a community event. It's a community event where we are since years meeting again face to face, which is good, to exchange knowledge. Between the communities, between these different stakeholders in the communities, if this government, industry, research, if this blue sky research, applied research, or deployment with industry, you know, all this ecosystem have to work together. And as you see in BDVA is somehow in the middle and trying and bringing this ecosystem together to bridge, let's say, the different disciplines on the one side, and to bridge also this deployment from the infrastructure, from the data spaces, from the data value to the impact to the verticals. That's a very brief intro from my side. And I said, a pity that I will not be there, but I know that very, very good colleagues like Ed are here in the room in physical Naples, and it's a pleasure to hand over to Ed to proceed. Many thanks.
Cheers. Thanks very much, Thomas. So 8 years ago, 2014, BDVA was created, and it was created by a group of people that wanted to work together in partnership to create a community to help us extract value from data. Over the last 2 years, we've seen an acceleration of digitalization. I would say we've gone 10 years ahead of where we thought we would be. It's all about data-driven industrial AI. It's all about the need to extract value. We're going to talk in the next few days about creating data spaces and what those data spaces will mean for us as a society. I believe data spaces will give us the largest data resource on the planet to be able to extract value, to be able to create a digital society. However, this is probably the most difficult challenge in the history of humanity. How do we do this? The complexity from looking at data-driven AI, large-scale data infrastructures requires us to think about what kind of community do we need today. We need a new type of community that will help us bring together the partnerships that are needed to be able to tackle the complexity of this challenge. We need to look at research and innovation, standardization, regulation and policy. What does this mean in the marketplace? What does this mean for impact and for value? And that's what BDVA is all about, creating that ecosystem at the local level, at the national level, at that European level, using our iSpaces to bring together our communities at different levels to have a conversation, to have a dialogue. So I'm going to welcome you to Data Week. Data Week really showcases the complexity and the richness that we have as a community. I'm going to invite you to challenge the assumptions that you hear from our speakers on stage. I'm going to invite you to be challenged by your own assumptions. I'm going to ask us to come together, to co-create, to learn together as a community to deliver on this digitalization vision. Thank you, Anna.
Very good. Thank you very much. Big applause for Ed and Thomas.
Many thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, so we move from the BDVA to UHAS for Data. Annette already showed the bridge. So I would like to invite Daniel Saez Domingo. He works for ITI. He's a Strategic Intelligence and Technology Transfer Director. And ITI is the coordinator of what is now the project UHAS for Data. And the floor is yours, and this is also yours.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you all for being here. Welcome to this present event and online event on behalf of ITI, and the coordinator of the UHAS for Data project, one of the organizers. And thank you very much to all the organizations that contributed to organizing this event. As you probably know, ITI is a technology center in Spain, focused specifically on digital enablers around data, the data cycle. We are providing infrastructure, services, knowledge to companies to solve the problems and needs of companies, and also public administration. And all this activity made us become an ISPs some years ago of BDBA and also a DIH for the European Commission. Now we are chairing or leading the ISPs group in BDBA, and we are taking this leading position in UHAS for Data, coordinating UHAS for Data, and also leading the ISPs group in BDBA because we believe in the value that ISPs can provide to the data economy. It is maybe an old concept because it started in the very beginning of BDBA in 2014. But I think that it is totally valid and totally useful at this moment because it is covering the gap of experimentation and deployment of data technologies that is all it's there yet. It is not covered yet. We started with 5 DIHs, 5 ISPs, sorry, in 16, and we were growing year by year till now that we are 36 ISPs covering 21 countries. And ISPs can work alone, and a lot about community has been said in the previous talks. But we think that working together, we thought at this moment in 2019 that working together we are in the best position to give quality to the experimentation, innovation, and deployment of data technologies. And that is why we started working with some of the partners of UHAS for Data in a winning proposal that became the UHAS for Data project in 2020. We helped BDBA to increase the number of ISPs, and we are working now to consolidate a federation of ISPs for the future. I will not go in details because UHAS for Data will be presented in some of the sessions along the event. But in a nutshell, UHAS for Data is focusing on the concept of think global but act local. Because we are taking into account the local connections that ISPs have with their local ecosystems, but also we are building a global catalog, a pan-European catalog of data sources, data services for all Europe. And this is making us being the European reference for data-driven in experimentation and innovation. And this reference position is not maybe casual because we are playing we are working in a very key time in the transition period between Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. Previous to UHAS for Data, we have the creation of Big Data Value Association, Big Data Value Partnerships, the ISPs concept, the European Data Strategy, all other initiatives, Gaia-X, IDSA, and jointly with UHAS for Data, after the UHAS for Data starting, we have a new era regarding data technologies, Horizon Europe, Digital Europe Program, new instruments like European DIHs, testing and experimentation facilities, and the new AI data and robotics PPP regulations like AI data regulations, the Digital Decade, the Data Act. I mean, we are working with all these new plethora of initiatives, and EUHAS for Data is supporting all these initiatives, working very hard to build a sustainable federation of data-driven innovation hubs to be a key player in the data economy in the future, in 2023 and the following future. From ITI, we are very committed to keep working in EUHAS for Data to make the iSpaces brand and concept a success and to play a key role in the data economy. And we count with all of you to give critical mass to this adventure and to this experience, and to make this happen in the future, the data economy. So thank you very much and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So now from the European perspective of the network of hubs, we jump into Naples. So we have with us Angelo Giuliana, and he's the general manager of MediTech, and he's the guilty person helping us here to be here. Thank you so much for really organizing this event. And now the floor is yours.
So thank you to coming here, to have chosen Naples to host. We are hosting you for the Data Week. Welcome to Naples, that is my city. I want just to say that Naples is not just beauty, touristic beauty, the pizza, even if some of you tried yesterday evening to a good pizza. But no, what we are talking in this day are about innovation, technology transfer, and best practices. These are the topics that we will afford in this today. We think that Naples could be, is the right venue, no? With this Campania and the university and the ecosystem of companies, the best venue to talk about innovation and technologies. What he has in, why we start about that? No, we can say that we start really 800 years ago, no, to transfer technology, culture, competencies with the first university like a public university in Italy, the University Federico II, that this is hosting today, you know, this venue. And this is one of the 7 universities that we have in Campania. 5 of them belongs to the ecosystem of MediTech as a partner. Here is the venue where we are hosted, you know, the campus that was mentioned by Professor Nicolais before, and also by our major. And it's a campus that obviously in the past was a tomato cannery, not factory. No, why this is, we say, from tomato farm to brain farm. No, this is something just to we decide as a community to integrate with the option to renovate, innovate, integrate in this area. This is a campus where we have hosted 9 academies for the hot technologies academies, a campus with very advanced labs. The last one is the quantum computing labs, and we are working on quantum computing. And the last arrival is MediTech, because when we talk, as it was mentioned before, between the bridge of research and the market, this is this task of MediTech Competence Center, to put the research on the market, to transfer technology on the market. Let me say a few words on MediTech, just to introduce who we are. MediTech is a consortium of what we decline our mission in 4 statements. So hub, service provider, enabler, and agency. Why hub? Because we are a consortium composed by 8 universities, 3 in Puglia, because we insist on 2 regions, Campania and Puglia, and 5 in Naples, plus 22 large companies. and a lot of small, medium enterprise that are adhering partners. Apart some memorandum of understanding, some agreement with private public. Now, was mentioned before by the major, the agreement that we are setting up with the municipality in order to be the technology advisor of in terms of digitalization. We are service provider because as a competence center, we provide consulting, technical skill, and Fab Lab, no? in the approach that the European Commission was asking on test before invest. We are enabler because obviously what we do, we enable through our infrastructure and with the usage of the infrastructure of our partners in a sort of idea, the territorial antennas. We provide obviously to our small medium enterprise ecosystem the usage of our infrastructure. We will see how. And we are agency, no? Because we have money, let's get money from the Ministry of Development, Economic Development that we belong to them in order to provide open calls, no? to the local ecosystem. No? We have launched 2 open calls, 5 million euro in the last years. More than 150 projects presented, and more or less there will be around 30 that we won, up to 200K euro as investment for free. This slide is not so complex like Thomas Han presented, but I realized that it's in the same approach. So what we are doing is in order to provide, and this is our strategy, supporting digitalization, to have a stack in this way, from infrastructure stack to up to logical stack. So we have decided to build our strategy on a 5G infrastructure, quantum computing not yet, but will be in the path. We have decided to become a FIWARE member, and we would like to be for International Data Specialists Association member, because we believe that data is the key for the digitalization in our region. We have applied to be member for the GAIA-X, for the Italian hub. And we are also associate partner for Data Space Support Center. Tomorrow in the afternoon and Friday, we will host a meeting here in order to go on, and proceed on the progress about data space. So for us, data spaces, digitalization, open source is the key. It's our strategy, differently from the other competence center. So this is what we have decided. What we expect from Data Week as MediTech. So a greater involvement in the MediTech ecosystem. We would like to become a member of the BDVA. We talked with Anna yesterday. They said, yeah, sure, start with the associated partner. We would like to have an increased visibility of MediTech as a reference point for the South Italy and manufacturing system as a data-driven driver in the AI-based digital transformation. What we can, how we can contribute with to BDVA in general, to BDVA Week. We have presented. I don't know when will be decided. I just wrote presented, even if some newspapers say it's something different. Just presented 4 ADIH projects where we are involved as a partner. And this we think will bring visibility at the European level for us, for our partnership, for our partners, in order also, it will also strengthen our involvement in the coordination support action, the Data Space Support Center. We have waiting for the approval 2 projects done with engineering in the data monetization and open data. So you see, still continue to see data in my presentation. And we have a Fab Lab. So we have become a FIWARE, or we are becoming a FIWARE node, a FIWARE lab, with a GAIA-X over layer in order to provide the support and services and help the companies to develop application data enabling. So for us, data enabling is our main strategy for small medium enterprise and public administration. And I'm waiting all of you this evening, 8:30 is correct, 8:30, to have a dinner at the Royal Yacht Club Savoia for our gala dinner. It's a very beautiful place. If you see, there is the castle now with the light in the night, and it's a very nice place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angelo. And really congratulations for moving from this vision, this group of visionary people, into implementation here in Naples and making a reality the data economy here in Naples. And of course, it's going to be a pleasure for us to keep collaborating with you. So I'm very pleased also to hear your messages. Congratulations to the overall community. I know there are some companies connected to MediTech. So really congratulations for the work that you are developing. And now from the local, we move back to European. And I have the pleasure to welcome online to Federico Milani. He's Deputy Head of Unit of the Data Policy and Innovation Unit in DG Connect at the European Commission. We have a long story of collaboration with Federico and the unit. And Federico, thank you for being with us today. And the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna, and welcome to everybody, and thank you for inviting me. Unfortunately, I cannot be there, and believe me, I wish I would be there instead of being here in Luxembourg. So let's briefly present what we are doing in order to promote and to push for this revolution, even if it's more an evolution than a revolution, and promoting the use of access of data. So if you see my slides, now you should see. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. So an extensive work has been done by the Commission in order to define, first of all, which are the design principles for European data spaces. And there we have identified a number of essential items, characteristics that the European data spaces should have. First of all, they should, of course, promote access of data, but in a fair and reasonable and discriminatory manner. What we do not want to create is spaces where only few people, few organizations, few users might have access to it and might benefit from the use of the data. Therefore, there should be also put in place an appropriate governance structure that will be enforcing the rules and the different requirements for accessing and sharing data. There should be, as it has been mentioned before, also interconnection, interoperability between the various data spaces, because we believe that most of the value of data is coming not only for accessing to sectorial data, but also to have the possibility of combining the data from different sectors in order to identify new ways of innovative ways of sharing data. But we are also working on encouraging actors to define and use a common technical infrastructure exactly for this reason. So this one should develop a sector-specific framework taking into account cybersecurity and data protection principle by design. As I said, it should be open. And this is one of the major aspects. We do not want to create places where data can be accessed only by the major player or by few organizations that then will have a competitive advantage on others. So again, it should be transparent on how the data can be shared and who can acquire the data. Accessing and acquiring the data doesn't mean to have it for free and that it should be free for everybody. But the condition for accessing those data should be transparent. So anybody that wants to access the data should know from the beginning which are the conditions. And then, as I was saying, it should comply to the EU legal framework that has been put in place in order to access the data. And I'm not only talking about the GDPR, but there are other frameworks that might be sectorial. There is also the Data Governance Act and the upcoming Data Act that, of course, will play a role in promoting access to this data. And here we go on what we are really doing. And the first thing is that we are working with stakeholders. And as Anna was saying, we are closely working with BDVA because it's the work of BDVA and the association and their partners and members, it's essentially in order really to define what are our policy in order to promote access to data. This is also, we are also working in this legislation, and as you know, again, through the collaboration and the various extensive work that we've done with the stakeholders, we have proposed a data governance act that has been also adopted by the government, by the council and the parliament, and has been now published the 30th of May in the official journal. Therefore, it's law, and in 15 months, if I remember properly, it will be enforced. In that one, we are setting up a number of actions and regulation requirements so that we want to create an environment of trust in data sharing. This is why we mention and we set up some conditions for defining neutral data intermediaries, but also we push the public organization to share their data, also the data that now it's not possible to be shared because of third parties' rights on that data. We've also in February proposed a data act where there we are pushing for unlocking the potential of industrial data and especially IoT data, and ensure fairness in the allocation of data value among the actors and the data economy. We want also facilitate interoperability of data and data sharing mechanism and services. We also developing, and that one probably you've seen it and you've noticed because we've just published a study on it, offer a technical solution. And there we are developing a technical solution for the deployment of data spaces, which we call Simple. It's a smart middleware platform where we are going to offer open source software really to connect and link various data providers and data users in a data space. We have funding, and we've been funding both on research through Horizon Europe, where we've got, as it has been mentioned before, a partnership with ADRA, where BDVA is one of the founding members, where together with them, we are funding research on new technologies for the development of common data spaces, which goes from extreme analytics to techniques for monetization of data, monetization, new ways of accessing data. And then we've got also the program, the Digital Europe program, they are called Digital, where we are going really to fund the deployment of common European data spaces. So we are going from the research to the deployment of the data spaces, working always with stakeholders. And then we've got part of the Data Governance Act, the setting up of a European Data Innovation Board, where the task that has been given by the Council and the Parliament on the Data Innovation Board is to issue guidelines to facilitate the development of common European data spaces and define relevant standards for the cross-data sharings. But let's move. So again, the intervention is, as you can see, it's going in various through various systems. We know that the stakeholders are already organizing data spaces, and there the data governance should lay down a number of principles to increase trust. We've worked again with a number of common data spaces and stakeholders, where we are going to offer technical solutions as the smart middleware platform, and gather a pool of cloud providers, cloud and edge service providers that can offer then services and technologies to build up the data spaces. And we also fund the creation of common European data spaces in specific sector where the financial contribution will have an impact. This is what we are going to do in the Digital Europe program, and I'm not going to go too much into detail, but you can see the technical data infrastructure, the common European data spaces, and we are going to have also a data space support center, which is essential in our opinion in order to coordinate the activities of the various data spaces. simple system, as I was mentioning before. We are getting closer to defining the technical specification in order to implement it. And there you can see that what we want to do is really develop what we call a simple agent that all the data providers and the infrastructure providers or application provider, the end user can install in their services or use it in cloud service provider in order to link the various data providers. These are the data spaces that we are funding. And finally, I want to talk about the data space support center that we are going to negotiate and hopefully launch in autumn, hopefully, where what we want to do there is really to create a network of stakeholders, identify common requirements, and create a platform for knowledge exchange ongoing in data spaces. So this is the basic idea that we want. But since I'm sure that there will be also a number of research institution and university, I want also to mention one other aspect that usually we forget, and it has been mentioned here, is really that what we are doing also in digital, it's to promote the creation of trainings, programs like masters in order to have the future workforce ready to really use and exploit all this data. And this is one thing that with this I finished, because I wanted to basically say that we are trying to cover all the aspects and really to make sure that our society and Europe will be competitive in the data economy. And thank you very much for.
Thank you. Thank you, Federico. As you said, it's a pity that you cannot be here with us, but I have to say, because we have the pleasure to have you often with us, and you always bring new information, which is a clear evidence of how much you are working in the unit and the complexity of the topic. What I have to say from my side, I mean, we are very happy to collaborate with your unit, but also as now is the moment for data. What is happening now, and probably most of the people in the audience know, very naturally, BDVA has joined forces with Fiverr, with IDSA, with Gaia-X, just to really collaborate together from the market side and collaborate with the European Commission and with the companies and research organizations all over Europe, really to support this data movement. And yeah, so thank you, and we will continue the discussion, Federico. And we will take some of your messages forward. Tomorrow, we will be discussing in 2 sessions a lot about things that you brought up today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now from Federico, we move to our last but not least speaker in the welcome message. I really want to give a very warm welcome to Dario Avalone. He's the Director of Research and Development at Engineering. And I have to say, thanks to Dario and Angelo, they have been really supporting us, but also it's a good example of, like also we had inside ITI, many people here, members that really work hard, professionally, and really bring a lot of value to communities like BDVA, Fiverr, Gaia-X, and you help us to bridge among the communities. So Dario, thank you very much for today, and also to the whole engineering team.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna, and thank you very much to MediTech for organizing this together with BDVA. I think it's, let me say, a great pleasure to be here because I'm from this region, and I think that the promotion of the talent and the capabilities of this region is one of the objectives that we have today, and we are trying to push. Now, what I will speak about is substantially some topics that will be treated in depth in the next session, but I will try to give you some suggestions and to set some elements that represents the scene in which we are moving in this moment. Some of the things that I will say have been already mentioned in other talk, and but I think it's important to consider this as a starting point of our journey. So my speech will start from this, but as I represent, and this was stated by Anna, a company, an industry. Give me just 30 seconds for some commercial. And I think that most of you know what engineering is and what company, what we are as a company. So we are a fast-growing company dedicating since the very beginning of its history, 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago, huge effort to research. Our research department counts 450 people, more or less, that are dedicated to 100, more than 100, 112 actually research projects. Most of these research projects are related with data and are trying to exploit data in order to extract value. But if I speak about data, what is important is to understand where this journey starts and what we should consider as a starting point of the action that have been taken by the European Commission and have been highlighted by Federico Milani before, in order to create concrete action and projects to facilitate and foster the implementation of a data-driven economy, or as I like to say, of a data space economy. Now, let me say that this is only, from a certain point of view, the awareness creation of a process that was started many, many years before, that substantially started from another statement that I have not reported in a slide, but I think it's wise to recall. That is something that was pronounced by Commissioner Cruz some years before, when she said that data are the new oil for Europe. So I think this is something that was immature, that has matured with additional awareness, new awareness, and has been implemented with the sentence of the commissioner that substantially has highlighted as we need a data economy based on data space. Data spaces that represents ecosystem and communities, that represents the willingness and the wish to share data within these ecosystem and communities in order to improve capabilities, services, and opportunities for the communities as such, but also to make available data and opportunities in a transversal way between ecosystems. These, in other words, has been implemented in the European Strategy for Data, that substantially is founded on 4 main elements to be considered. The capability of data to flow within EU and within different business and public sectors, availability of data that are qualitatively accessible and of relevance for the sector and for between sectors, that are related and respectful with respect to European rules and value, and that are based on rule for access and use in a fair way. From this point of view, I mean, the European data strategy is there to promote the availability of data for reuse and to strengthen sharing mechanism of data. Now, this is something that is going on since a while in Europe, and it's important to exploit and to reuse without reinventing the wheel what has been already done in terms of standard and emerging standard. To enable access and usage of data from public authorities, enterprise and citizens in the most effective and responsible way. This is something that is substantially indispensable to create the condition for the next generation application based on real exploitation and adoption of artificial intelligence solutions. And finally, to facilitate the creation of new product and service to support the boosting of innovation in Europe. Now, these pictures show what are the data spaces, the reference data space on which we should, or we can count, or we should point in order to develop a data space economy in Europe. This is something that is going on. We are at the beginning of the journey, but some evidence has been shown already also by Federico Milani in terms of initiative, CSA, and so on, in order to create this ecosystem and this data space. The path, in my view, will be quite short and quick, because we will have the first call for tender for the creation of a data space, let me say, the simple platform and things like, and the instrument like this in a time that is quite, hopefully quite short. If this is the case, we will have a standard, but this is eventually not enough. Just to make you an example of the relevance of data, what is important to underline is that data are not used and made available at their optimal level. So if we took a look at the public administration, what we can really see is that so far, only 7% of government data are open and usable. And city data analyzed and used for decision-making or to build artificial intelligence application represent just 12% of the available data in cities. And this is clearly a limitation because, I mean, we really need to increase this percentage in order to make sure to have an impactful innovation in terms of new application and services. So the key challenges that we should consider is the possibility to have a wider access to data, so to increase the number of data that are available in the different sector and in the different ecosystem, and to achieve a European government data space that gives Europe the possibility to assume a prominent position. Now, the concept of prominent position is something that, frankly speaking, I can understand from the political point of view, but I would like to see implemented because what we need is an economy that is capable to grow without, also without the support of public administration from one side, and on the other hand, that can count on the new oil that Commissioner Cruz was mentioning almost 10 years ago to create a new cycle of economic wellness. The key opportunities that we have in front of us are related to business, so to the creation of open data marketplace, increase the availability of vast heterogeneous data for artificial intelligence, innovative data-driven business model that clearly are depending on the usage of data and are based on the capability to use and combine this data in order to create new services and new way to set up business, not only inside production chain, but inside homogeneous ecosystem of production. Opportunities for government that clearly are related to better services to citizens based on data. Opportunities for science that that is related from one side to the learning and innovation creation in Europe, awareness about creation, and from the other point of view, from the creation, from the sharing and capability to share data that are relevant for science. I mean, I can make an easy example that is in between, that are the data and the sharing of data of COVID pandemic. So this is something that has been analyzed and has allowed to fight against the pandemic in a much more efficient and quick way. And finally, the opportunity for citizens, because I mean, we are owning, we are the owner of our data, and to have the control of our data is something that we would like to have. I mean, I don't know who is immune, coming back to the pandemic, to the phone calls that we have every day from people that wants to sell us whatever. And frankly speaking, I think that to have the full control of our data is something that we deserve, because I mean, we don't want that our data is used in an improper way. The key concern in this sense also relates to inter-organizational issue, because so far we don't have a standard to share data between in a safe way, in a completely safe way, and we don't have a level of trust that is mature enough yet. And in the same time, we have an intra-organizational concern that are related to the difficulty to determine the value of data and the lack of data valuation standards and assessment tools. The real issue here is that there is a difficulty in balancing the value that can back from sharing data, and in the same time to keep the risk of sharing data under control. So what are the main urgent action to be undertaken? The first one is convergence. So alignment towards between action and initiative that we have in Europe, and to have a uniform strategy for skill. We have seen that Federico has mentioned about skill creation and a uniform strategy for skill. This is very good, but we need to really have a more diffused strategy that engage also university and academia. And in this sense, I think that the role of entities like MediTech could be really relevant. Deployment, standardization, experimentation, and awareness. So just coming back to convergence, I took this slide that has been presented by Thomas. Sorry. And I would like to recall the Data Space Business Alliance, that is substantially an initiative between BDVA, FIWARE, International Data Space, and Gaia-X, to put together technological capabilities and community, and to use this potential to speed up the creation of data space in Europe, or data space economy in Europe. So let me say, where are we with this initiative? This initiative is creating a common reference architecture and is sharing hubs that were mentioning before. The initiative so far counts more than 1,000 members, and I think that is largely the most relevant and important initiative in Europe for the creation of data. This initiative should be taken into account because, I mean, can really help to speed up the creation of data space economy in Europe. Finally, clearly what the Commission is doing, I just gave the example of the Digital Europe program that is going on and is already founding some important project, as we heard from Federico Milani. That is the concrete evidence of how the Commission is supporting the implementation of the data space economy in Europe. Now, can we work in parallel? No, we have to work together, because it's the only way to make convergence something that is meaningful and impactful, and to overcome all the trust and reluctance issue that is the main element of resistance to the adoption of data economy in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dario. Thank you. What a moment for data. And the good thing is many of the people really making it happen are here on the stage, are here in the audience, are here in Naples. So make the most of these 2 days. Congratulations to everyone. And thank you to our speakers of the first session of today. Thank you very much.